The arrival, they tried to conquer Earth, but met the end of their empire. HFY sci-fi story. The night sky over Earth quiet. People looked up and saw only stars, shining as they had for millions of years. But then the stars began to change. Strange shadows moved across the heavens, covering the moon and the constellations. Not at first. Many thought it was an eclipse or maybe a meteor shower. But soon the truth became clear. Gigantic ships, black, metallic, and sharp, were entering Earth's orbit. They were not human. They were alien. Cities around the world froze. News channels filled with images of strange vessels blocking out the sun. Their size was terrifying. Some were as long as whole continents. Their weapons glowed like red fire, ready to strike. The invaders had arrived. They did not come in peace. They came to conquer. A voice echoed through every speaker, every phone, every screen on Earth. It was deep, cold, and not human. People of Earth, you are weak. You will not resist. Surrender your world or face destruction. Fear spread like wildfire. In London, New York, Beijing, and every city, people screamed, ran, prayed. Armies prepared, but their weapons felt useless against such power. The alien fleet, known as the Zelther Dominion, had conquered hundreds of worlds. They believed Earth would be no different. To them, this blue planet was only another jewel to take, another race to enslave. But the Zelther did not know Earth. They did not know humanity. In a hidden bunker deep below the Rocky Mountains, men and women watched the screens carefully. Military leaders, scientists, and commanders sat in silence. The aliens expected Earth to surrender, but Earth had been waiting. For years, secret projects had been built in silence. The world had looked peaceful, but under the oceans, in the mountains, and even in space, humanity had been preparing. They had studied alien signals, intercepted strange transmissions, and built weapons no one had ever seen. The invaders thought Earth was weak, but Earth remembered its history, wars, struggles, survival. Humanity had always fought against impossible odds, and now, against the Zelther, they would fight again. Above the Pacific Ocean, one of the alien ships began to descend. Its weapons powered up, ready to burn a human city. People on the ground screamed, waiting for the end. And then something rose from the sea. At first, it looked like a wave, a giant wall of water. But then the shape became clear. A massive black hole, shining with steel, rose from the deep ocean. Towers of antennas, railguns, and missile silos broke the surface. It was a warship, but not one built for ordinary battle. It was Project Guardian, a secret ship built in the shadows. The alien ship above the Pacific hesitated. The humans should not have such a vessel. According to the Dominion's records, Earth was a primitive world. Yet here was a ship with energy shields, rail cannons, and weapons designed to pierce even alien armor. The Guardian's engines roared. Its massive cannons turned upward. For a moment, silence filled the sky. And then Earth struck first. A single railgun round, faster than sound, ripped through the air. It tore into the alien ship's hull, punching a hole straight through its core. Fire exploded across the skies as the ship fell in flames into the ocean. The world watched in shock. Humanity had just destroyed an alien warship. On the alien flagship, the Zelther commanders hissed in disbelief. This is not possible. This world was supposed to be weak. But Earth was never weak. Around the planet, hidden defenses began to activate. Satellites that had been disguised as harmless machines unfolded into weapons. Missile silos hidden in deserts and mountains opened. Fighters scrambled from underground hangars. The invasion had begun. But it was not the invasion the aliens had expected. In the streets of Earth's cities, people stopped running. They saw the burning alien wreckage falling into the sea. They saw humanity strike back. And for the first time, fear turned into hope. Across the world, voices began to rise. We are not weak. Children shouted, soldiers shouted, even the old shouted. Humanity would fight. In orbit, the alien commander stared at the burning wreck. He realized something terrible. This was not just another planet. This was not just another conquest. This was Earth. And Earth had teeth. The first battle was over, but the war had just begun. The humans had shown the galaxy that they would not bow, would not surrender, and would not break. The aliens had come to conquer Earth, but instead, they had just witnessed the beginning of the end of their empire. Asterisk the first clash. They tried to conquer Earth, but met the end of their empire. HFY sci-fi story. The skies of Earth still burned. The wreck of the alien ship smoked in the Pacific, its remains sinking slowly beneath the waves. People on the shore stared in disbelief. Humanity had done the impossible, destroyed a vessel from the mighty Zelther Dominion. But the war was only beginning. High above the Earth, the rest of the Zelther fleet moved into formation. Their ships glowed with angry red light, weapons charging. To them, the loss of one warship was a mistaken accident that would be corrected with fire. The alien commander, Lord Varak, stood inside his throne-like chair on the flagship. His voice hissed through the ship. Crush them. Burn their world. Show them the power of the Dominion. The alien fleet opened fire. From orbit, lances of plasma shot downward, burning through clouds. A city in South America erupted in flames. Another in Asia trembled as buildings collapsed. The sky itself seemed to be on fire, but Earth was ready. In the deserts of Nevada, missile silos that had been hidden for decades opened their steel doors. Hundreds of rockets launched into the sky, leaving trails of white smoke. From the mountains of Russia, rail cannons fired blasts of superheated metal, glowing like falling stars. And in orbit, secret satellites turned. Their solar panels folded away, revealing something else: plasma beams, laser batteries, kinetic weapons. Humanity's space defenses, hidden from the world for years, now came alive. The first clash of the war had begun. Over the Atlantic Ocean, one alien cruiser descended low, trying to strike the city of Lisbon. But Earth's guardian warship rose from the waves once more, its railguns spinning. With a thunderous blast, the Guardian fired. The shot ripped straight through the cruiser's shield, tearing it in half. The crowd on the shore erupted in cheers. Humanity was fighting back. Still, the Zelther were not weak. They were an empire that had destroyed hundreds of civilizations. Their weapons cut through the sky, burning human planes from the air. Dozens of Earth's defenses fell. Entire neighborhoods were turned to ash. But the humans fought differently. They were clever. They were unpredictable. In New York, soldiers used old subway tunnels to move unseen, launching ambushes on alien patrols. In the forests of Brazil, guerrilla fighters planted bombs on alien walkers, destroying them with homemade weapons. On the seas, submarines surfaced, firing torpedoes at alien landing crafts. Everywhere. Humanity resisted. The aliens began to notice something strange. On other conquered worlds, fear had broken the people. They had surrendered quickly. But on Earth, the opposite was happening. The more destruction the invaders caused, the stronger the humans seemed to grow. Lord Varak hissed in frustration. These creatures, they do not understand fear. In the control room of the Guardian, Captain Ramirez stood tall. His uniform was soaked with sweat, but his eyes were sharp. Target their command ships. Make them feel what we feel, he ordered. The Guardian's crew obeyed. With precision, they fired a storm of railgun rounds and plasma bursts. One by one, alien ships fell, burning in the atmosphere like shooting stars. On the ground, the people of Earth sheared as alien wreckage fell into the seas and deserts. For the first time, they saw hope. But hope came with a cost. In Asia, millions fled burning cities. In Africa, alien drones slaughtered villages. Across the globe, the death toll grew higher. Humanity was fighting, but paying with blood. And yet, even in pain, humans would not break. In the ruins of Beijing, an old man lifted a broken flag and held it high, shouting, "We will never bow." His voice carried through the crowd, spreading like fire. Soldiers, children, refugees, they all began to chant. Humanity's spirit would not die. Back on the flagship, Lord Varrock watched his screens with cold fury. "This is no ordinary war," he admitted to his generals. "This world is not like the others. These humans, they are something else." The generals looked uneasy. None of them had ever seen resistance like this. No race had ever destroyed so many Zelther ships in a single day. And deep inside, some aliens began to feel something dangerous. The first clash was not ending as the Dominion expected. Instead of crushing Earth, the aliens were bleeding. Instead of surrender, they saw fire in human eyes. As night fell, the Guardian warship floated in the Atlantic, its guns still hot. Smoke rose from the horizon where alien wrecks burned in the seeing water. Captain Ramirez looked out over the waves. "This is only the beginning," he whispered. For Earth, the war had just started. But for the Zelther, something far greater had begun, the slow collapse of their empire. Because tonight, the first true clash, humanity had proved one thing. They were not prey. They were hunters. And the hunters had just drawn blood. Asterisk. The resistance awakens. They tried to conquer Earth, but met the end of their empire. HFY Sci-Fi Story. The first great clash was over. Alien ships still floated in the skies, but smoke and fire also marked their defeat. For the first time in history, the Zelther Dominion had been wounded by a single world. But humanity knew the fight was far from over. The Guardian warship rested in the Atlantic, repairing its hull. Across the globe, military bases worked without sleep, preparing for the next attack. Yet in many places, armies were gone, cities were broken, and governments were silent. In those dark hours, it was not soldiers who carried the fight. It was the people. In the ruins of Paris, a young woman named Claire moved through collapsed streets with a small group of survivors. She had no uniform, no advanced weapon, only an old rifle from her grandfather's attic. But in her eyes burned the same fire as any soldier. She whispered to her group, "We will not wait for them to come again. We fight from the shadows." That night, Claire and her people ambushed an alien patrol. The invaders walked confidently, armor glowing red, their weapons sharp. They believed the humans were broken. But hidden in the shadows, homemade explosives detonated beneath their feet. Fire roared. The survivors cheered. The aliens had expected fear. Instead, they found resistance. In the jungles of Brazil, Captain Duarte led farmers and hunters into battle. They knew the forest better than any machine. They set traps in the trees, used rivers as camouflage, and struck when the aliens least expected. An alien walker, tall and armed with heavy cannons, marched through the jungle searching for humans. But vines had been tied across the path. A machine stumbled, and a group of humans swarmed it, throwing firebombs and hacking at its legs. The mighty walker fell with a crash. For the first time, laughter echoed through the jungle. In the deserts of Africa, nomadic tribes came together, using speed and knowledge of the land. On motorbikes and jeeps, they struck supply ships, stealing alien weapons and using them against their owners. Everywhere, small groups of humans rose. They did not wait for orders from governments. They did not wait for permission. They fought because Earth was their home, and they would not give it up. The resistance was awakening. On the Zelther flagship, Lord Varak was furious. "These creatures multiply their defiance like a disease," he snarled. "Every death makes them stronger." His generals shifted uneasily. One dared to speak. "My lord, perhaps we should not waste our fleet on this world. They are only humans, but their spirit is unlike anything we have crushed before." Varak's eyes burned. "Do not speak of spirit. They are flesh. Flesh burns." Yet even as he spoke, Varak felt something he had never felt before. Back on Earth, deep inside an underground command center, Captain Ramirez studied maps and signals. Every hour, more reports came of humans striking back, villages resisting, cities refusing to bow, soldiers fighting alongside civilians. Ramirez whispered to himself, "They thought fear would break us, but fear has united us." He gave the order to spread a message across the world. Humanity does not surrender. Every man, every woman, every child resist them in any way you can. Let them know this world will never bow. The message spread like wildfire. Radios, old televisions, even printed leaflets carried the words. Farmers heard it in their fields. Children whispered it in ruined schools. Prisoners scratched it onto walls. Humanity does not surrender. And with every whisper, every echo, the resistance grew stronger. In the city of Berlin, an alien commander captured a group of humans. He demanded to know where the resistance leaders were hiding. An old woman with blood on her face looked into his alien eyes and spat. "You will never understand. We are all leaders." The commander raised his weapon, but before he could fire, a hidden sniper struck him down. The prisoners broke their chains and escaped. The galaxy had seen many wars. The Zelther had crushed many civilizations, but they had never seen a world like Earth. Every street, every forest, every desert became a battlefield. Every human became a fighter. And soon, something began to spread beyond Earth. Other species, hearing secret signals of resistance, began to whisper. If humans could fight the Dominion, maybe they could too. The resistance was no longer only human. It was becoming something larger. A spark, a fire, a storm. On the Guardian, Captain Ramirez looked at the stars. More alien fleets would come. Stronger, larger, more terrible. But now, he was not afraid, because he knew the truth. The resistance had awakened. And nothing in the galaxy could put it back to sleep. Asterisk. The turning tide they tried to conquer but met the end of their empire. HFY Sci-Fi Story. The world had changed. Every street had become a battlefield. Every human had become a fighter. And the resistance was no longer a whisper. It was a roar. But the aliens were not finished. The Zelther Dominion sent reinforcements. From the black void of space, more ships arrived, an entire fleet, larger than the first. Their shadows stretched across the skies like storm clouds. On the flagship, Lord Varak's anger had cooled into something sharper. Determination. "End this rebellion," he ordered. "Crush their spirit once and for all." The Dominion believed the humans were still weak, still small. They did not know what was waiting for them. High above Earth, the Guardian warship powered its engines. Its hull was scarred, its guns overheated, but its crew stood ready. Captain Ramirez looked over the battlefield through the glass of the command deck. His voice was calm, but his heart was heavy. "We can't defeat them with brute force," he said. "We must outthink them." His second officer frowned. "Sir, they outnumber us 10-1. Ramirez smiled faintly. "Then it will be unfair for them." The battle began at dawn. Alien cruisers opened fire, raining plasma down on Earth. Explosions lit up the skies. Cities shook. Yet this time, humanity was ready. Hidden under oceans, submarines rose and fired missiles that screamed into the heavens. From mountains and deserts, hidden launch sites unleashed a storm of rockets. In orbit, satellites armed with secret weapons lasers. Kinetic rods, railguns blazed to life. The Earth itself was fighting back. Alien ships began to fall, burning as they crashed through the atmosphere. For every human base destroyed, 3 alien ships were ripped apart. It was not brute strength that gave humans the edge. It was something else. Something the Dominion had never faced. Human cunning. On the ground, guerrilla fighters attacked alien supply lines. Claire, the young woman from Paris, led her group into the sewers beneath a captured city. They planted charges under an alien power core. When it exploded, half the alien defenses shut down. In Brazil, Captain Duarte's forest fighters lured alien patrols into ambushes, using animal calls as signals. In Africa, desert tribes struck convoys, stealing alien plasma rifles and turning them against their masters. The humans were not fighting one war. They were fighting 1,000 little wars. And together, those wars became a storm. Back in orbit, Captain Ramirez stared at the tactical map. One red dot marked the enemy flagship Lord Varak's ship. If we break their leader, we break their fleet, Ramirez said. The Guardian turned, its engines roaring. The alien flagship towered in the void, shields glowing. It was 3 times larger than the Guardian, but Ramirez did not hesitate. Charge railguns, he ordered. Target their command core. The Guardian fired. The round slammed into the flagship's shield, shaking it, but not breaking it. The alien ship responded with a blast of plasma, tearing across the Guardian's side. Sparks flew, alarms screamed. But the Guardian stayed in the fight. Inside the alien flagship, Lord Varak leaned forward, claws digging into his throne. These humans, they are fighting like predators. They are not prey. For the first time, he felt a sting of fear. Battle raged for hours. The skies burned red, the oceans boiled with wreckage, and cities shook from the fury above. Both sides bled. Both sides refused to fall. But slowly, something began to shift. The Dominion had always won wars by breaking spirits, by making their enemies kneel. But the humans would not kneel. Every attack only made them fight harder. Every loss only sharpened their rage. The aliens did not understand it, but they could feel it. The tide was turning. Then came the moment. Claire's resistance fighters captured an alien signal tower in Europe. With stolen codes, they hacked into the Dominion fleet's communication network. Suddenly, alien ships were flooded with false orders. Cruisers turned the wrong way. Escorts abandoned their posts. Confusion spread. Now, Ramirez shouted. The Guardian unleashed its full arsenal. Missiles streaked across space. Railguns thundered, and plasma beams cut through the chaos. One by one, alien ships fell. And then finally, the Guardian's railgun pierced the flagship's shield. The round tore through its hull, exploding deep inside. On his throne, Lord Varak's eyes widened. His empire had never known defeat. But now, defeat had come. The flagship burned out all across the world. Cheers erupted. Humanity had done the unthinkable. They had not just survived. They had struck the heart of the Dominion. On the Guardian, smoke filled the air. Wounded crew members were carried from the bridge. Captain Ramirez leaned against the railing, exhausted but alive. "This is not the end," he whispered. "But it is the turning tide." In the ruins of Paris, Claire raised her rifle skyward. "In every city, every forest, every desert we rise," she shouted. The crowd around her roared. For the first time, humans believed they could win. Asterisk. And far beyond Earth, in distant stars, other enslaved species listened. They heard the whispers. They heard the defiance. If Earth could resist the Dominion, maybe they could too. The tide of the galaxy was turning, and the end of the Dominion? had truly begun. The fall of giants. They tried to conquer Earth, but met the end of their empire. HFY Sci-Fi Story. The fires of Earth still burned, but the skies above were clear for the first time in weeks. Alien wreckage drifted in orbit, glowing as it fell through the atmosphere. Humanity had survived, but survival was no longer enough. Captain Ramirez stood on the command deck of the Guardian. His uniform was torn, his face marked with scars, but his eyes were sharp. Around him, officers whispered in disbelief. The Dominion flagship was destroyed. Earth is safe, for now, Ramirez said. But the Dominion will return with more. We cannot wait for them. We take the fight to them. The crew stared at him. To leave Earth and strike back at the greatest empire in the galaxy? It sounded impossible. But then again, everything humanity had done so far was supposed to be impossible, and so the plan was born. Resistance groups across the world came together. From Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Americas, ships were rebuilt. Old satellites were turned into weapons. Civilian engineers worked side by side with soldiers, creating a fleet where none had existed before. It was not beautiful. It was not polished. But it was human. And it was deadly. The Guardian led the new fleet, carrying the message of Earth into the stars. The target was chosen, a Dominion shipyard orbiting a red dwarf star. It was there that the aliens built their massive war machines. Destroy it, and Earth would buy time. The journey through space was long and silent. Soldiers trained, engineers repaired, and pilots sharpened their skills. Claire, the young fighter from Paris, had been chosen to join the mission. She walked the Guardian's corridors, her rifle slung across her back. She was no longer just a survivor. She was part of humanity's spear. One night, she stood with Ramirez at the observation window. The stars stretched out forever, endless and cold. "Do you think we can win?" she asked. Ramirez's voice was quiet. "We already did the impossible once. That means we can do it again." When the human fleet arrived, they saw it the Dominion shipyard. It was larger than any city on Earth, a ring of steel and fire circling the red star. Hundreds of alien warships floated there, some completed, some still under construction. It was a giant. And humanity had come to kill it. The attack began with silence. Human ships cut power, drifting close like shadows. They used stolen codes from the captured signal tower to slip past patrols. For a moment, it seemed they might succeed without being seen. But then a warning cry echoed across the Dominion network. A patrol spotted them. Alarms blared. The trap was sprung. Alien ships surged forward, their weapons glowing. Ramirez shouted, "All ships attack!" The void exploded with fire. It was chaos. Human missiles streaked through space, smashing into half-built warships. Alien plasma cut through human cruisers, tearing them apart. The Guardian weaved through the storm, its guns roaring. Claire fought inside a boarding squad. Her team blasted their way into a half-constructed battleship. The corridors shook with fire as humans charged through, planting explosives along the core. An alien warrior lunged at her, its armor gleaming red. She fired point blank. The alien fell. "Keep moving," she shouted. In the middle of the battle, Ramirez saw an opportunity. The shipyard's main power reactor. If it could be destroyed, the entire ring would collapse. He made the decision. Guardian set course straight for the reactor. His officers looked at him in shock. "That's suicide." "Then let's make it count," Ramirez replied. The Guardian charged through enemy fire. Hull plates shattered. Decks buckled. Alarms screamed, but the ship did not stop. It pushed forward, closer and closer to the giant's heart. On the ground inside the shipyard, Claire's team fought their way clear just as the Guardian arrived. She looked up through a broken viewport and saw it a wounded human warship, blazing with fire, heading straight into the giant's core. Her breath caught. They're going to do it. The Guardian rammed the reactor. For a moment, the universe was silent. And then the giant fell. The explosion lit up the system, brighter than the red star itself. The shipyard tore apart, massive pieces spinning into the void. Alien warships were caught in the blast, shattered like glass. Humanity had struck down one of the Dominion's greatest weapons, but the victory came at a price. The Guardian was gone. Ramirez, the man who had led Earth through its darkest days, was gone with it. On her ship, Claire stood frozen, tears burning her eyes. But even through her grief, she knew the truth. His sacrifice was not the end. It was the beginning. The fall of the giant was a message to the galaxy. The Dominion could bleed, and humanity could make it bleed far away on another world. Alien slaves watched the signal of the shipyard's destruction. They whispered to one another, voices trembling with hope. If the humans can fight them, maybe we can too. The Dominion's empire stretched across the stars. But now, cracks had begun to show. And through those cracks, the light of resistance was spreading. The fall of a giant was not the end of the war. It was only the start of something greater. Humanity was rising, and the galaxy would never be the same. Word count. Approximately 860 unique elements in this part. Humanity takes the war beyond. Earth for the first time. A cinematic suicidal attack on the alien shipyard, destroying a galactic giant. Captain Ramirez's sacrifice gives emotional punch. Claire stepping into a bigger role, showing new leadership potential. The idea that hope spreads to alien slaves across the galaxy. The Empire strikes back. They tried to conquer Earth, but met the end of their empire. HFY sci-fi story. The galaxy shook. News of the destroyed shipyard spread like fire through the stars. To enslaved worlds, it was hope. To free people, it was inspiration. But to the Dominion, it was an insult they could not forgive. From their capital world, Lord Varrac's successors gathered in rage. Their emperor was gone, his flagship destroyed, their shipyard burned. Pride demanded vengeance. They did not come quietly. They came with a storm. Earth's sky darkened again, not with one fleet, not with two, but with three. The largest armada ever sent against a single planet. Claire stood on the balcony of the ruined Paris Library, now a resistance command post. The air shook as alien engines roared. She clenched her rifle. "They're not here to conquer this time," she whispered. "They're here to erase us." All across Earth, alarms sounded. Cities were fortified. Resistance fighters prepared traps. Submarines, jets, and makeshift warships rose again. But deep down, everyone knew this was different. The Dominion was no longer underestimating them. High above, the first strike fell. Alien cruisers unleashed plasma storms that lit up the skies. Entire districts burned. Towers collapsed. Oceans boiled where fire rained. Earth screamed, but it did not bow. The resistance fought back with everything left. Missiles streaked into the sky. Satellites turned into weapons again. Drones swarmed. But the cost was terrible. For every alien ship destroyed, a city fell. Claire fought on the ground. Her unit moved through the burning streets of Paris, taking cover behind shattered monuments. Plasma beams tore through stone and steel. "Hold the line," she shouted. Her fighters roared back, firing captured plasma rifles. For hours, they pushed back wave after wave of alien soldiers. Bodies fell, buildings crumbled, and still they held. But as night fell, Claire looked up and saw something that froze her heart. The Dominion's command ship had arrived. A monstrous vessel, larger than any she had seen before, drifting above. Earth like a dark sun. Its weapons glowed with power enough to shatter continents. The Dominion meant to end Earth in one stroke. On the far side of the planet, survivors of the Guardian fleet gathered. Ships scarred, crews broken, they knew they could not match the enemy's strength. But retreat was not in human nature. Admiral Chun, Ramirez's old rival, now carried the torch. His voice echoed through every channel. Humanity is not finished. Not today. We will strike where they are weakest. We will bleed them even as they crush us. The plan was Madness attack the Dominion's command ship directly. But Madness had carried humans this far. The fleet rose. Against impossible odds. Battered human ships charged the massive alien vessel. Plasma fire cut through them like knives through paper. Explosions lit the void. Yet still they pressed on, closing the distance. Claire and her ground forces synchronized their assault, hitting the Dominion army below as the fleet struck above. Earth became a storm of fire and fury, dot inside the Dominion command ship. Lord Varak's brother, High Marshal Kuroth, watched with cold eyes. These humans, he growled. They dare fight still? An officer trembled. My lord, their attacks unpredictable. They strike where they should retreat. They silence, Kuroth hissed. Burn their world, leave nothing. But just as the Dominion prepared to fire its super weapon, something unexpected happened. Signals filled the alien fleet chaotic, strange and terrifying. Not from humans, from other worlds, slaves had risen. In distant systems, Dominion garrisons were attacked. Shipyards sabotaged. Whole sectors in revolt. And it was Earth that lit the spark. Kuroth's eyes widened as report after report came. His fleet was needed elsewhere. The galaxy itself was burning. He realized the truth too late. Destroying Earth would not end the rebellion. It would only feed it. Asterisk. Still, fury drove him. He ordered the weapon charged. Back on Earth, Admiral Chun's battered fleet made one last push. Half their ships were gone. Engines failed. Ammunition was nearly spent. Yet one cruiser, the Iron Dawn, broke through enemy lines. Its captain, bloodied and dying, gave the order. Ram the monster. The Iron Dawn ignited its engines and hurled itself straight into the Dominion's super weapon. The impact ripped across the ship's core. Fire consumed its weapon banks. The command ship reeled, crippled. Earth was not saved. Cities still burned. Millions still died. But humanity had survived the strike that should have ended them forever. On the ground, Claire stood among the ruins, staring up at the smoking giant above. Tears and ash covered her face. She whispered to her fighters, "We're still here, and as long as we're here, they cannot win." The crowd around her cheered through blood and dust. Earth was broken. But Earth was unbroken. Far away, in the corns. Shadows of forgotten worlds, whispers spread. The humans fought the Empire. The humans stood against their armada. And the humans still live. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Dominion knew fear. The Empire had struck back with all its might and failed to break the spirit of mankind. Asterisk. The end of their empire. They tried to conquer Earth, but met the end of their empire. HFY. Sci-Fi story. The Dominion had always called themselves eternal. They had ruled the stars for 1,000 years, crushing every rebellion, silencing every world that dared resist. But now their fleets burned. Now their shipyards were ash. Now their slaves whispered one name in every corner of the galaxy. Humanity. On Earth, the smoke was still rising. Cities were ruined, but survivors worked tirelessly. Broken buildings became shelters. Rubble became barricades. Humanity, scarred but alive, prepared for the next step. Claire stood in the ruins of Paris, now, the Resistance's command hub. She looked around at soldiers, engineers, even children carrying supplies. Her voice carried strength she did not know she had. They thought they could break us. Instead, they broke themselves. Now, we take this fight to every world still under their chains. The crowd roared. Earth was no longer just defending itself. Earth was leading a war. Admiral Chun, his fleet rebuilt with stolen alien ships, sent a signal across the stars. To every world under Dominion rule, rise now. Humanity will fight with you. You are not alone anymore. And the galaxy answered. On mining worlds, slaves turned their tools into weapons. On farming colonies, peasants overthrew their overseers. In hidden caves and forests, rebels carried the human flag. The rebellion spread faster than the Dominion could contain it. The Dominion's High Council watched in horror. Entire sectors were slipping from their grasp. Armies defected. Fleets vanished. High Marshal Karoth slammed his clawed fist against the council table. Crush Earth, and the rest will fall in line. But even he saw the truth. The more they struck Earth, the stronger the galaxy's resistance became. The end of their empire had begun. The final battle came above the Dominion capital itself. The human-led coalition gathered Earthships, stolen Dominion cruisers, and fleets of newly freed allies. The largest rebellion in galactic history formed a wall of steel and fire. Claire stood on the bridge of a captured Dominion destroyer, now renamed Defiance 2. She wore the same patch Ramirez once wore. This is it, she whispered. The day we end them, Admiral Chun gave the order. Forward. For Earth. For freedom. The coalition surged. The Dominion's capital defenses were vast. Planetary cannons fired beams that split ships apart. Titan-class warships unleashed. Storms of plasma. The rebels were torn apart in thousands, but they did not break. For every ship destroyed, 2 more pushed forward. For every fighter lost, a dozen more screamed into battle. Humanity's unpredictability, its defiance, carried the fleet deeper into enemy lines. Claire's ship boarded one of the Titan warships. Her squad fought room by room, blasting through alien defenses. Inside the command chamber, she came face to face with Karoth himself. He was massive, armored, his eyes burning with rage. You, he growled, human filth. Your kind should never have left its cradle. Claire raised her rifle, her voice steady. And yet, here we are, ending your empire. They fought fiercely steel. Against claws, fire against fury. Karoth struck her down once, twice, but she rose each time, refusing to yield. Finally, with a cry, she drove her blade through his chest. The High Marshal fell. The heart of the Dominion's war machine was gone. At the same time, Admiral Chun ordered the coalition fleet to fire everything they had on the Dominion's capital city. Missiles, plasma, railguns, every weapon unleashed in one storm. The city burned. The palace fell. The Dominion's banner was torn down. The war was not truly over. There were still battles to fight, worlds to free. But everyone in the galaxy knew the truth. The Dominion was finished. Humanity, once seen as weak, once seen as prey, had done what no species dared. They had ended an empire. Months later, in the Great Hall of the new Galactic Assembly, Claire stood before representatives of hundreds of freed worlds. The air was filled with voices of different species, speaking together for the first time as equals. She spoke simply. Humanity does not seek to rule. We seek to live free, and we seek freedom for all. Together, we will build something stronger than any empire. A future where no world will ever live in chains again. The hall thundered with applause. Outside, above Earth, a statue was raised. It showed Captain Ramirez, the man who lit the fire, standing with one hand lifted toward the stars. Beneath it were carved the words that now defined an entire galaxy. They came to conquer Earth, but instead witnessed the end of an era. And the galaxy, forever changed, remembered. Humanity had not just survived. Humanity had triumphed. Asterisk.